Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the Pitch Rock Chronicles. I'm Uncle Tess. I'm here with Rob and Donald. And listen, it is that time of year where we need to have the talk like we do every trade deadline. And we just have to wonder, how will Cashman gaslight us that any move that he makes is going to be beneficial to the Yankees? Um, we can't get the top guys because no fan wants to part with any of the top prospects. So it's that time of year where we want to criticize Cashman for not making a big move, but we want to praise him for not giving up the top guys that might be big major leaguers. Because sometimes a lot of people think of prospects as what ifs, or maybes. We've seen a lot of prospects that were held on to that are on the Yankees, namely Volpe, Peraza, who's been kind of a disappointment with the opportunities he's gotten. And we can go through the timeline of how they've screwed Peraza over time and time again, but he still has not been able to capitalize on the opportunities that he has. He's been Florialed. He's been yanktified, as we like to say on this channel, to give a little nod to Donald's solo show. But really, when you really get down to the brass tacks of it, this is, I think, is going to be, and we say this, we've said this a couple times over the years, but coming off of a World Series appearance and missing out on retaining one of your key pieces over money to another team, I think this is actually going to be Brian Cashman's more important trade deadlines, because the Yankees are still very much in the mix of it. They can still win a division. They pretty much are destined to make the postseason, but it will depend on what kind of moves he makes. And it makes you wonder, is he going to prioritize starting pitching? Is he going to prioritize relief pitching, or is he going to prioritize the infield, specifically third base? But you're also getting the question of, should they upgrade shortstop at this point? I saw that in a lot of talking points surrounding social media. That Volpe is, as much as we know he's going to remain shortstop, is that really the right thing for the Yankees to do if they want to be successful in this season? So if I had to guess where Cashman's going to lean more, I think he's going to lean more with the bullpen. If I had to prioritize it, I would say bullpen, third base, then you're starting pitching. Rob, what do you think?
Well, I think we can eliminate shortstop. We know they're not going to get a new one. I think that's out of the question for them. But third base needs to be a priority because it should have been addressed last year and the year before that, but it hasn't been addressed. So third base, they have to go that route. They need another bat in this lineup. They need to lengthen out the lineup a little bit more, and they need to get some help on the defensive side as well. Peraza's fine defensively, but he's not providing much offensively. When you have him and Volpe struggling offensively, you can't have your entire left side of the infield being bad with the bat. So you got to get somebody there offensively, and you need some bullpen help. I don't know if they're going to get a starter because, honestly, who's out there? I've seen a lot of people bring up Zach Gallen. He's having a terrible season. Like, he's having his ERA is like nearly 6. So if you really think he's going to be an upgrade over a returning Yarbrough or even Luis Heel, I don't know if that's worth the prospect capital to get 2 rentals. You need a third baseman and you need some bullpen help. One thing that Cashman always does, no matter what the circumstance, he does get a pitcher every year. But 2023, he made one move. That was Middleton, who was actually pretty good for us. Last year, he got lighter, and the other guy whose name I can't remember, who stunk, doesn't always work out, but he does seem to always add pitching. I think he's going to get at least 2. He needs 2 bullpen arms. He'll probably get at least 1, and he needs a third baseman. They absolutely 1,000% need to get a third baseman because they've neglected it for too long, and that's really it. I don't think they're going to do too much else. He can say all the things he wants. How about we're going to be aggressive, we're going to go all in and all that, but we know darn well the Yankees are not going to be making 6 or 7 trades and getting upgrades at third and 2, 3 arms in the bullpen. Go get a starter. Go get a shortstop. Anyone expecting all that, it's unrealistic. They don't want to part with some of these prospects, and I don't blame them. But at the same time, if is there really a superstar out there that's available in a playoff race that's really wide open? There's only a select few teams that are out of it completely, and it's not like those teams have these can't miss players. Like the Rockies, who do they really have? McMahon's not having a great season. Tyro Estrada's been okay. And then you look at the White Sox. Do we want anybody from the White Sox? So it's like there's only a select few teams that are not going to be in it that you can try to pick and choose from. But something Joel Sherman brought up the other day is with the expanded playoffs, everybody's going to need bullpen help. So every contender is going to want to get a bullpen. So it's not going to be easy to go and prize somebody from a team like Arizona. There's going to be so many teams calling about Suarez and maybe even Gallen, a bullpen arm or two. There's going to be teams calling the Rockies that might have some bullpen arms. So Cashman's going to have his work out for him. I just hope that he gets something done quickly. I hope he doesn't wait till the deadline. If you have to overpay to get the guy like Suarez, then you might have to go do it. But at the same time, you should look to maybe trade a couple of the pieces that you do have right now that you know you're not going to keep. That's something that you can look to do. Like Donald said the other day, kind of do a mix of both buying and selling off.
Yeah.
He's going to have to get creative, which is something we've been saying for 5 years. We don't like that, mixing Brian Cashman with creativity. I am a bit excited. Maybe I'm a little too overly excited about it because I have a feeling we're going to pull off a big trade. I don't know if it's going to be for Suarez, but I've seen a lot of people linking the Yankees to Clase A, which would be interesting. If they want to go get a big name for the bullpen, that would be the guy to go get. So we'll see. We still got a couple of weeks, but this is very important for Brian Cashman because I thought he had a really good offseason. They missed one move, which is getting a third baseman. You've got a chance to go hopefully rectify that now, and we'll see what he does. But he's got to start acting quickly because don't push it till the deadline because in 2 weeks you might be 6 games out.
Yeah, to go off what Rob was saying, maybe third base is Cashman's priority, being that was the one move that he wasn't able to finalize in the offseason. And the bullpen, because so many teams are going to be in it for bullpen help. That's the hard. I think in the trade deadline, that's the hardest thing to acquire is legitimate bullpen, like solid help. Donald, what do you think? You think that off of what Roberts was putting out, do you think that makes third base a priority because that was the one piece he didn't make, the one move he didn't make?
Of course, third base is a priority. They don't have one. It's as simple as that. The DFA DJ LeMahieu, they moved Jazz from third because he couldn't work a third. It's quite obvious that they need a third baseman, and that should be the priority. It should absolutely be the priority. It should have been the priority in the offseason. The reason why I don't agree with the Yankees' current strategy of leaving positions open and going, oh, we'll get it at the trade deadline, is purely for the reasons that you guys touched on. Due to the expanded playoffs, there's a bunch of teams that are going to be competing. So there'll be a bunch of teams that could realistically think, maybe Suarez could maybe get us into a shot at making the playoffs. You know what I mean? So that ups the price. And then the Yankees now have to get rid of maybe an A prospect rather than a couple Bs. Or that's the reality that we're in now. And I honestly, this is why I've been saying this for a long time. I think the Yankees are outdated in their thinking. I think the Yankees are outdated in their strategy. I think they think that they're just the big bad Yankees and they can get who they want, but it's almost like they've forgotten that there's a bunch of teams that are competing. There's not that many teams that are actually out of it. You know what I'm saying? It's a very mediocre American league. A very mediocre American league. So that's why the Yankees should not be so proud of themselves that they're making the playoffs in such a mediocre American league, considering like half the league gets in it anyway. But I mean, I don't want to go off topic, but that's why I think that they're a little bit outdated in their thinking. I mean, the time to be making these moves is the off season. That's when you get the better prices. That's when you can negotiate the better trades. That's where you can get those steals that we just got from the Cubs to get Bellinger. You know what I'm saying? That's where you can get the salary dumps in the off season. You don't get those kind of moves at the trade deadline because it's going to be very expensive. The Jazz Chisholm trade has worked out, but it was extremely expensive because it cost us. I mean, Ramirez was absolutely destroying pitching over there in Miami. It was very expensive. Maybe if we went and go ahead and got that deal done in the off season, maybe we've got it for cheaper. It's just that's where we're at now. I think the Yankees are quite outdated in that thinking and that philosophy. Plus, they're also in this situation now where you look at the bullpen, they need about 3 or 4 bullpen moves. The
Yeah.
bullpen's decimated through injury and through poor performance. So, I mean, how much more can you possibly do in a deadline? I mean, those are the moves that they have to make just to be in with a shot. And then we're not even got to the point where it's starting pitching. You also need to get number 3 starter. Maybe it's going to be Luis Gil, but again, it'll be a case of kind of rushing him through, which you don't want to do because then it could risk further injury. So maybe you get a 4th starter in there, but those are tend to be pretty expensive as well because everybody wants pitching. There's not a team in the league that doesn't want pitching. So I I'm just trying to bring some realism to the to where we're at because I know there'll be a lot of Yankee fans out there going, "Oh, we just need to make this move, and Suarez will be there." Not really. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done. So, because if you look at where we're actually tied with Boston for wins.
Yep.
So we're actually not having that great a year, considering Boston. We're below 500 about a week and a half ago, right? And then they've gotten a bit of a run, and now they're right there tied with the Yankees. Okay, so and the Yankees are behind the Blue Jays, and there's a bunch of teams that are kind of exactly where we're at. So, yeah, we have some work to do, but to be honest, you said that, Taz, you said this was like a very important deadline, and I do agree. But to be honest, I felt last season was the most important deadline. I mean, I'm going to echo what Theo Epstein said when he
Fair
was
enough.
at GM. If not now, when? If not now, when? And that last season was the time to say that. If not now, when? When you got Juan Soto, you got Aaron Judge, you got Garrett Cole. It's crazy that they just chose to kind of do a little bit, but not the whole thing. Uh, and they're paying for it now because they've actually declined, not in not in terms of like offense, because the offense in general has been okay, but as a team they have declined due to injury and due to several factors. And of course, you're going to miss Juan Soto anyway. They have declined a little bit, and then you look at the Cubs, who are just now better than us, and it just took an off season. So it's just like the Yankees aren't really that in that great a shape. I'm just being realistic.
Yeah, to give context to the way the race is looking. If you look just at the American League, I pulled up the standings, and right now, Detroit, Houston, and Toronto will lead in the divisions, right? But for the wild card standings, and these are the teams within 5 games, right? Because sometimes we always say a week can turn around your season, 1 week can turn around your season, and get you on track or have you fall a little further off. So teams on, you got the Yankees, Boston, and Seattle would be your 3 wild card teams. Then you have Tampa, that's a game and a half. Texas is 3.5. The Angels are 4 games. The Twins are 4 games. Kansas City is 4.5, and even Cleveland's 4.5.
Well, are you saying
So
that the Angels are only 4 games behind us?
4.5. Yeah, the Angels are 4 games behind us.
No, they're 4 games behind Seattle.
4 games behind us.
Well, yeah, no. That's for a wild card spot.
Yeah, the third wild card spot.
Yeah.
So everyone's in this.
They're
So
6 games behind us.
there are still teams that we were looking at players for to get from that are still in a wild card hunt. So that's why I brought up the teams. That's why I brought up the teams within 5 games, because 1 week can change change everything drastically over the next couple of weeks before the trade deadline. Because it's the 31st, so you got 15 days to figure it all out. So pretty much you got 2 weeks and a day to sort out your season, what the trade deadline is going to be. It's going to be tight.
All that does is further strengthen my point. So
Yeah.
it's like they should have done this in the offseason, man. Get yourself a third baseman in the offseason. You wouldn't have to worry about this.
And they wouldn't have had to give up too many prospects to get any of those guys that were available. Like Arenado, I know he's not having the best season, but he's better than anyone we've tried out at third base this year. He would have cost you virtually nothing because the Cardinals wanted to eat that money or eat some of that money and just to get rid of him. One of those like cheaper signings wouldn't have cost you much money and or prospects. And Alex Bregman was sitting right there. I know he's been hurt, but there were options out there that wouldn't have cost you really anything in terms of prospects. It would have just been just money. But the Yankees, who apparently don't have a budget, do have a budget. So yeah, they obviously
Bregman, even injuries aside, weakens Boston because Boston wouldn't be where they are now, and strengthens us.
Right, and look at you said like you just said, Tats, a week can change everything. Boston's won 10 straight.
Right.
They're 10-0 in their last 10, so like that's why they're right back in it. Even Baltimore is not out of it completely. They're 7.5 back of a wild card spot, but they've got some talent there. So if, like you said, if they catch fire, then they're right there in the race. So there's really not a lot of teams in the American League to kind of pry from, and even a team like Cleveland, who might have some bullpen help to trade, they can win a few in a row, and guess what? They're right back in it. They're only 5 back of Seattle, so anything can happen in the American League. It's very mediocre, and that's why the Yankees should have been the aggressor in the offseason. Like we kept saying, you have a very weak American League. We thought it was us, the Tigers, and maybe a team like the Astros because they're always in it. That in Texas, that could have been like the best teams in the league. And you were one move away from really just like separating yourself. And we thought Bregman could have been that move. Arenado could have been that move. A change of scenery could have really helped him, although the Cardinals are competing this year. But they just said, no, we'll leave it. We'll leave it. And now you're going to be fighting with like 7, 8 other teams for a guy like Eugenio Suarez, who's great. He would add 30 home runs to this lineup instantly. That's huge. But you can't tell me the Yankees are the only team in baseball that are going to want him. Every team that's competing for a playoff spot should want his bat in their lineup. Even the Dodgers could probably use his bat in the lineup. The Mets could certainly use his bat in the lineup. There's going to be a lot of teams that are going to want him. And like I said earlier, when it comes to the bullpen, good luck finding a good one because every team in baseball that's competing wants bullpen help. So you might have to go and hope that a guy like David Robertson, who's going to be throwing apparently, can come in. I would have brought him in the offseason. I said that in the offseason. Go. I said it last year, 2 years ago. Bring back D-Rob. Why not? Make amends. Bring him back. Let him end his career with the Yankees where it all started. But now you're going to bring him in mid-season, and you got to pray that he's good. So they dropped the ball on multiple occasions to add to this team when they should have. And now you have to really hope that you're probably going to have to overpay for a guy like Suarez.
I actually agree with your dad here, man. The Yankees should be concentrating on next year, make gym trades to have a great team next year. I think you can do a bit of both. I think because the Yankees are never going to tear it down, and
No,
it'd be impossible to tear it down anyway.
2016.
It'd be impossible to tear it down anyway because Aaron Judge is basically the entire team. So you're always going to be somewhat competing. But I would have an eye on next year. So I wouldn't really be aiming for rentals. I mean, obviously Suarez would be great. But I agree. I think that this Yankee team is – I've always felt this since like the way the things have started to move just last offseason. I felt that 2026 is going to be we'd be a better team with the next off season. You know what I'm saying? I like if you can sign Tucker, you can maybe move Bellinger over to first base. You got Spencer Jones to be ready. You got Dominguez there. That I'm more comfortable with saying. I think the Yankees could be something really serious in 2026 when you got Max and Garrett Cole at the top of your rotation. That I would feel comfortable saying. I think next year would be great. This year, I just don't feel it. We're just too mediocre. We're mismanaged. We know this, and that they have some serious issues. So what I would do is a bit of both. As I've said before, That's what the Yankees should be doing. I would be looking to trade Grisham. He's not going to come back next year anyway.
Yeah.
There's no reason to extend him because you got Spencer Jones will be ready. You got Dominguez, who's really just a center fielder. Let's be honest. You've got Cody Bellinger as well. You've got a bunch of options there. I would trade Grisham. Not that I want to, because I really like him. It's not that I don't think he's a really good player, but I think you could get a return for him. And then that frees up everyday playing time for Dominguez. It even opens an opportunity for Spencer Jones to maybe be a September call-up. You know what I'm saying? As long as we don't trade him. Don't fucking trade him, Cashman. So that's what I would do. I think that would make the most sense because if you've got an eye on next year, maybe acquired an asset, but it's also helped. It's also not hurting us this year as well, necessarily. That's what I would do, and then you could also make that move for Suarez, but at least you've gained an asset that you've acquired from Grisham, trading Grisham. That's what I would do. I think that would be the smartest move. A bit of both. Still competing this year, but you've got to focus for next year. That's what I would do.
Yeah, that's why I'm on board of moving Grisham at this point. One, he's getting hot again, so his value's up. And even if you're trading a rental for a rental, that's actually something you could live with. And you would just like Rob brought up last week on the show. Bring up Pereira to be your fourth outfielder. So you're still not really taking anything away from your roster. You still have some defensive depth. Also gives you a chance to see what the hell Pereira is going to be. Because it might put him in the spotlight for the next off season for whatever moves you need to make. I think that the hardest thing to acquire is going to be the bullpen, and that's usually the hardest position to get at a trade deadline, because like we just emulated, there's so many teams that are still in it. And there's more teams in the race in the American League than the National. For those that were keeping score on which league was better. The teams that are dominating in the National League are clearly superior to the American League.
Facts.
But they're still they do not have as tight of a wild card race as one would have suspected going into the year. So any of the moves are going to be a National League team. That's my feel for it. Especially with Arizona with Suarez. Arizona right now is 5.5 games out of the last wild card spot. But when you look at the strength of that division they're in, with the Dodgers, the Padres, and the Giants, I think if the Diamondbacks really want to scale it back and reset their roster, this is the offseason to do it. I think their organization would be foolish to think that they can overcome those three clubs.
Well, they have all the excuses in the world, too. Burns got hurt. And next year, they're going to have Burns coming back at some point, maybe towards the end of the year. Montgomery's money will be off the books, so they'll have some extra money to spend to maybe bring back Suarez or bring in a third baseman. Their offense is good enough anyway, even without Suarez. That offense can hit. Ketel Marte, Corbin Carroll, they have McCarthy, who's a good player. They have Gurriel. They're loaded offensively. They need some pitching. And if they can get some young arms, which the Yankees do have a lot of, they have a lot of young arms that are rising up in their system. Most recently, LeGrand Hayes been opening some eyes in Double-A. ERC, who we got for Narvaez, was just promoted to Double-A. He's kind of raising some eyebrows. So we do have some arms that we can trade for a guy like Suarez, but so do other teams. That's the thing. Yeah. It's going to be a very tight race to go get a guy like Suarez who's going to add 30 home runs to your lineup in an instant. That's how good he's been this year. He's kind of gone under the radar because of how good Judge and Cal Raleigh and a lot of these other power hitters have been, but Suarez is having a fantastic year, and I hope he's okay because he got hit in the hand yesterday at the freaking All-Star game. But he's almost a perfect Yankee now. But yeah, when it comes to the
your hand's broken, here's a contract.
Yeah, here you go. We'll extend you while you have it. So yeah, it's just like I don't know if they're going to be able to add to the bullpen. That's what made 2016 so special for us is we had two of the best bullpen pitchers available for trade. Right. That's why we got two teams' top prospects in Clint Frazier and Gleyber Torres is because we were it wasn't even a rebuild. It was more of a reset. And the Yankees are never going to be in a rebuild. This is not a rebuild. You're not 10 games over 500 holding a playoff spot and saying we're going to go rebuild. So anyone calling it that, you're crazy. they're gonna add. They have to. They know they have to, but they should absolutely look to move one or two players that are on the current roster right now that might get you something. And I don't want to trade Grisham like you were just saying, and I said this last week earlier in the season because Lou will attack me for it. I said don't trade him because he was one of our best hitters. But now you need to get the playing time for Dominguez, and if some team gives you something that you need for Trent Grisham, you have to do it. Not that I want to, but they should think about it. So
Right.
you can do both. And no one's asking you to go trade Max Fried or trade Carlos Rodon. That's a rebuild, is trading your best players. But trading a guy that's on the last year of his deal that you're not going to bring back, that's not a rebuild. That's just being smart. Yeah. That's just being smart.
What do you guys think about the talking point? I think it personally. I think it would be a mistake. But if it's you know me, I've said this a lot. If it's the right move, I can't complain. But even if I don't want that player to go, there's also a lot of talk about the moving on from Goldschmidt, and just putting Bellinger at first to platoon with Rice. Is that also, is that something that could be in Cashman's playbook?
No, I don't think so. Is that for me? In my opinion, before Rob jumps in, my opinion, I think Goldschmidt was actually considered one of Cashman's better signings over the last few years. Plus, he's got a close relationship with Aaron Judge. You know that Aaron Judge has at least some authority in player movement. We know this. It's not going to happen. I think Goldschmidt is actually an asset. He's provided Gold Glove caliber first base. We do need to get Ben Rice every day at bats, but Goldschmidt needs to be at first base more often than not, because if you're going to have Anthony Volpe as shortstop, you're going to need a really good first baseman to gobble up those really weak little throws that he throws over there. So you need a really good scooping first baseman. Paul Goldschmidt is probably like number one in baseball and scoops. He's been phenomenal, and he's had to, because Volpe would have like 35 errors if it wasn't for us. Yes. So honestly, I think you need to keep Goldschmidt for this year, but he's not going to be brought back next year. Unfortunately, the power has declined. He started off like gangbusters. Unfortunately, the power has kind of sapped, but he's still giving you an unbelievable at bats against lefties. Basically almost like 500 batting average against lefties, almost. And so he's giving you contact. He doesn't have any power anymore.
Yeah, I think it would be a defensive disaster to move on from him at this point. But that's why I wouldn't do it. Not so much to bat the glove, like you said. Rob, what do you think about it?
They're not going to trade him. They shouldn't trade him, because at the very least he should be a platoon first baseman with Rice. I've said this weeks ago, because he can't hit right-handed pitching anymore, and it's not anything he's doing wrong. He's 37. Like, you expect a decline, but the fact that he's currently hitting almost 290 at this point in the season, you're gonna. If you would have told me at the time we signed Paul Goldschmidt he's going to be hitting 290 at the All-Star break, I would have said you're crazy. Because that would mean he's kind of turning back the clock like we kind of hoped he would. And he has. Unfortunately, he's not doing that against righties. So there's your way to get Ben Rice at bats. Rice and Goldschmidt platoon. Now, I know Goldschmidt's the better defender for sure. But if Ben Rice is going to be part of your future, he can also catch. Let's not forget that. Yep. He's caught some really good games behind the plate this year. So you could find at-bats for Ben Rice, and it shouldn't be at the expense of trading Paul Goldschmidt. And I'm seeing some people saying call up right now Spencer Jones.
Not yet.
If you call him up and this dude strikes out 4 times in his first game and I see a single one of you complaining, I'm calling you out, every single one of you. I'm keeping receipts and I'm coming for your head, because I know how this fan base reacts. If this dude goes 0 for 4 and strikes out 3 times or 4 times, they're going to start a riot. They should have traded him when he had value. This is why I can't stand the Yankees. You know what's going to happen. I'm not saying everybody's going to do it, but there is going to be fans out there that want him up, that want Lombard up right now to replace anybody in the outfield, not Judge, of course, and then have Lombard replaced Volpe. And if those guys are not immediately successful, they're going to be saying they should have traded him. You know those fans are out there.
Oh yeah.
Thank God it's not us because we have a head on our shoulders. But there are people out there that want to do that.
Well, if you really fall out of the race and you want to, see, like Donald said, also project for the next year, if that becomes the situation, then yeah, you call up a Lombard or a Jones or both, and just kind of let them put their, dip their toe in the water to see where they're at. But to conduct your trade deadline around those two guys right now, I think Cashman would be a fool to do that.
They better not trade Spencer Jones. Do you see what he's doing in AAA?
He's killing it.
He's even in the futures game. He was the star. Was that Lombard? That was the star.
That was Lombard. Lombard had like 2 at bats. Yeah, Jones didn't play in the futures game.
Lombard was the star.
Yeah.
He's 2 years away. Spencer Jones is unbelievable.
I love Spencer Jones. I just don't know. Let's say they do sign Tucker next year. Where's Jones playing? Because if Rice is going to be the first baseman or if Bellinger's going to move to first, Judge ain't moving off of right field anytime soon. And if Dominguez is still there, he's going to be in left again. Jones is going to play center because Jones is unbelievable in the outfield. So maybe you put Dominguez back in center and Jones can do left field. Or if you have Tucker, then we saw Tucker can play left field last night just fine. He made a great play out there. So what do? I don't know if the right trade's out there right now for Spencer Jones, though.
No, I don't think the trade market justifies moving on from any of those guys. The one thing I do worry about them putting on the market is Cam. That's the guy I would really worry about being moved on from because we haven't had we don't really have, a true flamethrower in our rotation. That'd be the guy that would bother me if they moved on from. But I would be like, if it's for the right move, like if they have to get rid of him to get a Suarez or a legitimate third baseman, I'm gonna have to just suck it up. But I would try not to move on from him either.
I have Spencer Jones' stats in his 14 games at AAA. He has 7 home runs in 14 games, 15 RBIs. He also has 6 stolen bases in that time. He has a 362 batting average, an on-base percentage of over 400, a slug of almost 800, and a 1,200 OPS, 1,202. And that's just in 14 games. He is averaging a home run every 10 at-bats. He's had 58 at-bats, 7 home runs and 58 at-bats. So actually it's less than 10 at-bats. It's like a fucking home run.
That's crazy.
That's how good he is. Like, he is mashing right now. And I do not want to trade that. Not for a rental.
Oh, no, absolutely not. They can't trade him for a rental. If they moved him, it'd have to be for a guy you have under control for at least another year. So you're getting a year and a half of that player. But who is that player? That's the thing. Like, I've seen some people trade him for Clase, and it's like, I know we need the back end of the
not tearing it apart this year either.
Exactly.
Figured a couple things out, but his numbers are not like what they were last year or the year before.
So there's a risk out there, and it's not like there's a player that you can't miss that's available for trade. It's not like the Cubs are trading Kyle Tucker right now, even though he's a rental. I just don't know if that player's out there for the Yankees to be like, we have to go trade Spencer Jones. Now, if you get Tucker next year, then by all means, you explore the trade options for Spencer Jones because there's probably not a place for him unless they move Dominguez, which I really don't want to do either. So you're kind of at that point, but that's still a ways away. But right now, there's no reason to trade Spencer Jones. There's also no reason to call him up. Let him keep mashing. And because the strikeout rate hasn't dropped, or it's dropped a little bit, but it's still there. But he's making everything else work that you're kind of overlooking it. And I think in part of Joel Sherman's show, which, by the way, if you guys aren't watching Joel Sherman's show, it's great. It's with him. I forgot his host name. It's not the one with him and Heyman, but he's talking about Spencer Jones. Like, is he what is he going to be when he comes to the major leagues? A guy that's going to hit 220, strike out a lot, but hit like 30 something home runs, or he's going to hit like 260, be like the Aaron Judge type where you strike out a lot, but still you make up for it every other way. He's probably going to be more of like a lower average, but he's going to hit a ton of home runs and strike out a lot. But you're not going to care because his defense is great. Dare I say, like Texas Joey Gallo. Not Yankees Joey Gallo, but Texas Joey Gallo. The guy that was an all-star when we traded for him. Lower average, high on base, high slug, high home runs, excellent defense. That might be more along what we see from Spencer Jones. Because a lot of people are saying he's the lefty Aaron Judge. Stop it. Stop it.
Don't do
But,
that.
I mean, to be fair, in his minor league career, he's not had a low batting average. About 344 in 2022, 267, which is okay, 2023, 259, 2024, but then so far, 362 in AAA, 270 in AA. So, I mean, he's averaging a 275 batting average in his minor league career. That's actually pretty good. I mean, if that even takes a dip down like 20 points to the 250s, that's still massively way above average.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know how low an average player he'll be. I think that he could be
like 240s, 250s.
Mid 250s, I would take that.
Yeah.
With this slug, crazy. This slug is insane, guys. This slug is insane. It's almost 800 in AAA. It was 600 in AA. So that's a good sign, though, that he's not only is he actually getting better with the promotion, he's killing it in this promotion, which says to me that he's probably not all that far away from the majors. I would consider a September call-up for him.
I definitely think you'll see him in September, but yet it's not going to be as like a full replacement of a player. Like you're not going to see him get called up because they moved on from Grisham and they got they were able to trade put him in a trade for somebody. And I'm seeing Jonathan put in the chat, and so did Armand, saying that the trade season has begun. The Kansas City Royals made a move. They acquired Adam Frazier from the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Dude, still
and Cam Devaney is going to Pittsburgh.
I liked Adam Frazier a few years ago. I don't know if he's doing much now.
Armand, Jonathan, thanks for throwing that into the chat to let us all, keep us all up to date. But,
he was a good player.
Yeah, Frazier's hitting 255 with a 654 OPS, 3 homers, in 78 games for Pittsburgh. He was with Kansas City last year, so he goes right back to him.
Yeah,
he's like a utility guy.
That's the type of news we need to see from Cashman's office as well. Don't like we said in the beginning, don't wait until the 31st. Try to strike now while you know that they're all talking during this break. So there's all meetings and socializing going on, and talk to your team about coming over here. There's all that collusion going on. You know it. The unwritten, notes under the table type of thing. Talk to your agent.
The unwritten table. What?
Let me rephrase that. I don't know where.
Unwritten notes under the table.
Players are talking to each other. Talk to your agent, see if you can come over here. I think that type of stuff does happen during the All-Star break. So
we need to get Tats a book of metaphors.
He used to write a book of metaphors.
Exactly.
But Armand does bring up a good point, because Duran from the Twins, who's been really good this year for the Twins is Danny Colombe, and I brought him up in the offseason that I would have signed him. He's got a .68 ERA.
Holy shit.
And he was available the entire offseason, and he signed very late with the Twins for like nothing. So that's a team that has bullpen help, but they're also 2 games under 500. Actually, in theory, they're the team that we could be looking to trade with, because they got a few guys that can play third, that can help in the bullpen. If they're looking to unload some guys, Willie Castro is a name that's been thrown around a lot by Yankees fans in the past. He's been having a great year. I know a lot of people want Correa. I don't see that happening, but Correa's actually having a down year considering what he's been in the past. And they have the bullpen arm. So if there's a team that you kind of give a lot of capital for, maybe it's the Twins.
Well, you're not getting Vlad now. He just extended himself.
Yeah, we're not taking that contract. You got a better chance of getting Pete than you got getting Vlad.
You have a better chance of getting God himself to come down and play for the Yankees
Literally
than
just
Vlad
kind
next
of
year.
huge. That's not happening. It ain't happening. Let's discuss
What's
other
up,
third
Los?
base options outside of Suarez. We've obviously talked Suarez. I think we can all agree is probably our number one choice by far. What other names would you guys consider, Rob? Who else would you consider to be a kind of a smart acquisition that's probably available?
That's the thing is, there's really no indication of like Ryan McMahon. Maybe you might be able to get him on a bit of a cheaper deal because his numbers haven't been as good, and he's got a good. But the Yankees want a right-handed bat, so that would kind of kill that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jonathan earlier brought up Tyro Estrada's name. Maybe you go that route if you want to try to buy. Yeah, get a reunion out of him, but is he going to bring you what you need offensively? I like the idea of Willie Castro. You know, he's a rental. I think maybe you go and call up Minnesota and see what it's going to take. It really is slim pickings, Anna. Outside of Suarez and maybe a guy like Castro, I don't know. Is Rengifo having a good year? Because last time we saw him, he wasn't playing too well with the Angels. There's really not a lot of options out there. And Rengifo's not having a great year at all. He's got a 596 OPS, so God no. It's really slim pickings. I think it's Suarez, Castro, or bust. Really, there's really not a lot of options out there.
Yeah, Paston says Suarez is by far like our top choice. I guess that would be. I guess it would be Suarez would be our number one option. Let's see anyone else you mentioned. Maybe Ryan McMahon or Brian Hayes. I don't want Hayes. I really don't want Hayes. I'm kind of done with Pittsburgh, please. Very few things that are good in baseball come from Pittsburgh these days. So let's just move on from that. Hayes. I don't think is good. He can't hit. He's good glove.
And John, they're not going to break down this. They're not going to break it up this year. They're only 2 games out of the division. We're not going in. 2 games in September going. We should have tore it apart. Or 10 games out. It's 2 games. One good series, and we're right back in this. Because other teams still have to make their moves as well. So it's also going to drive up the price for because Toronto needs bullpen help. There's another team that's in serious contention for bullpen. The Red Sox are going to be aggressive. Because because we let them back in it. So
and they freed up money.
Tear it down with when you're 2 games out of first place and you're holding the first wild card spot. I mean, you want to talk about the fans just erupting in rage? That would happen. A couple of moves here and there are going to either excite or disappoint a couple of people, but they're not going to break it all down. That I think would just be lunacy.
Believe it or not, a lot more fans want them to tear it down than want them to go by.
It's scary.
So, which is kind of goes to Michael K's point that the fans couldn't handle losing in the World Series, and then they want them to just like lose for like 5 straight years just to build a contender. They're not going to rebuild, guys. I'll reiterate it. Anyone who thinks they're going to trade everybody and rebuild, the Yankees have never rebuilt, at least in our lifetime. The last time you could say they actually did it was like early 90s. Well, I guess they did do it in our lifetime, but that was the last time. It's been 30 years. They're not going to do it. Again, like you said, 10 games over, they're in a playoff spot. You're not rebuilding when you're currently holding a spot in the postseason. You can do a little bit of both. So should they go all out and go make 5 trades?
You can't rebuild if you're Aaron Judge and Max Fried under contract. Anyway,
exactly.
It's never going to be rebuilt. You can retool though, and be smart and have an eye on, like, you really need to just read the market. Now, Anna, my girl Anna, how are you doing? How are you doing, darling? I miss Cabrera. To be
We all
honest,
do.
I don't, because frankly, we would have needed a third baseman even if we had Cabrera fully healthy. Anyway, because we were saying it since day one, we need a third baseman. Cabrera was never an everyday third baseman. You look at his stats, lovely guy, good player, not an everyday player. His stats were just not really there.
No, and I think Cabrera being down is what's keeping Peraza on the team because you need that utility guy. We already got rid of DJ, so now who's your utility infielder?
That could be Jesus Rodriguez.
Well, that's another name that hasn't come up this year. This show
He
yet.
should be up. He should be on
I
this
know.
team. They had Pablo Reyes on the fucking roster for months, and they had Jesus Rodriguez killing it in AAA. And everywhere he's been, he's just been hitting, and he plays everywhere. And they're just like, nah. Like, they have Vivas sitting on the bench. I would rather him play third base every day. See what you got out of him, but they want a right-handed bat. I don't know what they're doing. That's the thing. I don't know what they're doing. And I hope they figure it out soon.
What would I trade for Suarez? It would be, well, he's a rental, for one. So I'm not giving up Spencer Jones. Ideally not Schlittler. It would have to be a bunch of B prospects, 3 or 4 B prospects. And maybe if I was to give up one, probably be Pereira. Because we've kind of got a bunch of outfielders. I would probably trade Pereira to get Suarez.
One guy that I would throw in if I had the heel injury, and especially really more so the Schmidt injury. I think for me it takes Warren off the table, but I think Warren could have been a guy that they sold on to make a deal with Arizona. Maybe switch, throw Warren in there and see if Arizona will throw in a guy like Zach Gallen. Even though his numbers aren't that great this year, he does have the postseason and a World Season on his resume. So that might be somebody you use, in that spot. What do you guys think about that?
I'm sorry, I was thrown off by cardiac Knicks calling Aaron Judge a pussy, but
I didn't see that.
he didn't spell out that we spaced it in between each letter, so it shows up. But
we appreciate that because then
who cares? It was a freaking meaningless All-Star game. It was fun either way. Who cares if he compete? Ohtani didn't compete. They were all gone anyway. That's out of the conversation. I don't give up Will Warren for a
I don't know. Fill me in on this because I didn't watch it. I only watched the so
they had a swing off.
Home run derby. What happened here?
No, at the end of the All-Star game, it was tied after 9, so they went to a swing off.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, it was kind of like a mini home run derby, 3 batters from each side. It was predetermined beforehand. Suarez was supposed to be in it, but he got replaced by somebody. I can't remember who at this point because he got hit.
Judge take part?
Judge and Ohtani and a lot of the bigger names were already gone. They were taken out of the game, and they just already left the game.
A lot of the star players left before the game was even over. That's what I heard.
Exactly. To me, it's the All-Star game.
How much people care about the fucking All-Star?
Exactly. It's meaningless. They don't want to.
That's
they don't
why I
want to
didn't feel
be there.
guilty about not watching it.
Kyle Stowers, thank you, Armand. Yeah, and it was actually kind of fun because it was the American League was up in the home run off, I guess you can call it, the swing off, and then Schwarber hit 3 homers to win it for the NL. It was fun. It was a really cool concept. And maybe at some point you want to see the stars, but imagine if one bad swing and Judge strains his oblique and you're like, God damn it, why did Boone let him do that? By the way, every other baseball fan complaining about Aaron Boone, welcome to our world. Every single American League fan was like, this is what they have to deal with on a daily basis. Even Frank from Barstool, that poor guy that's being used by that company, was like, Aaron Buffoon has to. Now I know the Yankees' pain. Thank you. Welcome to our world for the last 8 goddamn years.
I'm amazed that I'm still sane after 7 years of Aaron Boone managing my favorite team. It's pain. It's pain that we don't deserve. I don't think we deserve. Maybe someone else thinks we deserve it, but I don't think we deserve this amount of pain. He's so bad. He's so bad. Oh God,
All right,
he's so
let's take a couple of minutes to talk about the festivities.
bad. All
Can
right.
I just say one thing? The Hank Aaron tribute. I did watch the clip this morning. Phenomenal, very classically done. I think they actually, if that's, I think that's something they should do every year, depending on which team is hosting, to put like a famous moment in that hologram graphic that they had. That I thought what they did for Hank was absolutely pure class.
1,000%. You want to celebrate the greats of the game.
Yep.
If you want to push the history of the sport to a newer audience, that's the way to do it. Hank Aaron is. If anyone's been to the Hall of Fame, he has like his own section, and it's so deserved.
Yes.
It's really, you get chills just walking through that section. The Hank Aaron is part of Cooperstown. It's really cool, and I hope that they do it every year, like you said. They're in Philly next year, Armand. So do it for Schmidt. Right, if you want to do a tribute to Mike Schmidt, just to celebrate his career, what he's been able to do, and think of any other Phillies great. I don't care if it's Chase Utley but I know it's too recent for that. But do it every year for every team, and that'll be a way to celebrate the game.
What about Jazz Chisholm embarrassing himself on the biggest stage in the home run derby? What are your thoughts on that?
I don't care.
Yeah.
I truly don't.
I don't even think it was an embarrassment. He said he wasn't going to alter his swing. He was just going to go up there. Nobody else was signing up for the freaking thing. So he's like, you know what? Let me have a little fun while I'm down there. I have no issue with that whatsoever.
I don't know. Just gonna. I have a feeling you're getting paid $1 million. I think there would be a lot of the players aren't getting paid that until they get their.
Well, why didn't they sign up before it was almost to the deadline?
I don't know, man. But
You know
they
what I
need,
mean?
need to do better because I didn't really. I think Chaz. I agree with Cardiac. I think Chaz did kind of embarrass us, man. When you wear a Yankee hat, in the All-Star game, there's a level of expectations, and I thought he was dreadful.
See, I thought the biggest
And
issue with the home run derby was that
here for the
measurement.
vibes. I didn't like that. You're still representing the Yankees, man. Like, be better. He was just you just clowned around a little bit too much. I didn't like it. Made me feel a little bit uncomfortable. I think he should have taken it more serious. No, in fact, you know what? Even better, he shouldn't have taken part in it at all.
That probably would have been better.
He's a good player, but he's not a home run hitter, and I don't even know why he was there.
No, but he wasn't trying to pose as one either. That's why.
But it's
That's
the
why
home
I'm not
run
making a big
derby.
deal out of it.
Come on, it's a home run derby. I'm not trying to hit home runs in the home run derby. Come on.
That's why I don't want any Yankee doing it anymore. But they asked Judge about it. He goes, I did it in 2017. What more do you want from me? They don't want to do it. A lot of players don't want to do it.
And that was the other thing. They're all getting on Judge for not doing it when Raleigh did it. Well, where was Harper? Where was Schwarber? Where was Ohtani? You know, where are all these other star bats that baseball wants to keep propping up? What, Alonso didn't do it. Like, why is it only because Judge didn't do it? He's got to be singled out in the conversation because he'll only, he said he would think about it if it was at Yankee Stadium. That's the other thing that pisses me off about it. And the fact that I think it was, that one round was rigged to keep Raleigh in it because Rooker definitely should have had that. They should have had a different way of doing it rather than measure exactly by a centimeter. I mean, come on. I thought that was also bullshit.
For rigging the home run derby, then what's the point anymore? I truly don't care. I don't care that Jazz hit. I don't care if Jazz would have hit 17. I don't care if he would have hit 0. He had a good time. It's a meaningless competition. The players are all there to have a good time. I'm sure a lot of them don't even really want to be there because it's supposed to be an all-star break. I don't really. But maybe he shouldn't have been in general. It should be for home run hitters. I don't know. Maybe do a bunting competition, like John says. Maybe that would be a little.
Like
more
they do,
fun.
what is it, Korea or Japan, where they actually have like a bunting competition. They have a fielding competition. Like they actually have. It's almost like a day, like a triathlon for them, over in Asia. So maybe baseball needs to adapt that. maybe that'll bring a little more to it.
I guess. But a lot of players don't want to risk any injury because you're in the middle of a season, so it's difficult to be like. I will applaud the players because the All-Star game was actually really well played. It wasn't like a bunch of guys just being like, "Hey, let me throw you a softball and you can hit it 500 feet." Like they were actually trying out there, so I commend them for that. But the home run derby, I don't know. It's timed now. It's not like it used to be. Like go back to the old rules where it's like 10 outs. Keep it that way, but they time it, and they're doing measurements for tiebreakers. And remember the one year that wasn't it Hamilton hit like 100 home runs and he didn't win? Like, when he hit one out of the freaking park. I don't know. I just
That's the problem with it, man. Yeah, it's actually the early rounds of it is actually really fun. It's good.
Yeah, because they still have energy.
They have energy, and like it was like the first like hour of it was actually genuinely entertaining.
Who punted the All-Star game?
We were seeing 538 fucking foot home runs, and it was great. But then once we got into the finals, everyone was cooked. They're like, "Oh my god," they had no energy left, and then it was just less entertaining. So they need to go back to 10 outs and figure it out from there because they were all exhausted. And you're right, man. That there's so many examples where these guys are hitting like 30 or 40, right? Just to start with, and then they don't win it because they're exhausted by the time they make the finals. They need to do something about it, man. It's not good. It's the best of the things to watch in the All-Star break, but they need to do something about that, and they really need to figure out who actually competes because Jazz Chisholm should be nowhere near a home run derby, and he said he'd do it again. Dude, don't do it again.
Yeah, no, that would. I'd have to get on him for that if he does it again.
Come on.
Yeah,
we could do an exit velocity competition. Who could have the highest exit velo? I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. It really doesn't.
Like a fool. He absolutely like a fool. He was just clowning around. That's the only thing that I like him as a player. He's just a little bit too. He's a little bit too cool for school at times. I know it's his personality, but at times when you wear the Yankee pinstripes, there is an element of expectations that you need to reach. Just being realistic. I would say if I wasn't a fan of his, and I do like him. I do like him as a player.
As long as he's hitting home runs for us in the regular season and the playoffs where it counts, he's got 17 of them where it matters. That's all I care about.
Yep. And Mr. Barros is asking about the robotic strike. I guess they had the ABS system in the game yesterday.
I think they challenged it in the first inning.
I didn't watch it, so I really don't. I couldn't tell you. I'd have to watch a replay of it, but I really don't know how it worked.
It's just a challenge system, so the umpire's still calling balls and strikes, but same way it was in the spring, that you're allowed to challenge a call. I think they need to do it in general. Just get rid of umpires in general because they can't do their jobs properly, so you might as well have a robot do it. I would trust AI more than I trust some of these idiots they got umpiring baseball nowadays.
I can't take him anymore. Facts, DC, bro. Honestly, whatever it takes for him to leave in the off season, I would just be so happy. I would literally dance. I would do a dance for you guys.
Anna might love that.
Anna would love that. But I would literally celebrate. It would be like do a 24-hour celebration stream.
Yeah.
with a bottle of champagne. And celebrate. That's how much I detest that dude. Not as a person, but as a manager. I can't bear him as a manager. He's what is it that Michael Scott says? I hate everything that you choose to be.
Why are you the way that you are?
Why are you the way that you are? I hate everything that you choose to be. That's my feelings towards Aaron Boone as a manager.
Yeah, and that, I mean, if that doesn't get us, a tremendous amount of boost in the algorithm to have a 24-hour watch party to celebrate the firing of Boone, I don't know what we get the numbers. But that is going to wrap things up for us today. We will see you next time. I know we didn't get to too much in the chat. We do apologize for that, but appreciate you all hanging out with us. It was, when it comes to the trade talk, sometimes we just get ahead of ourselves. But we were watching as you guys were commenting along, and we do not take it for granted. With that, make sure you hit that like button, hit that sub button, share this out, your friends, your family, the strangers on the corner. If you want to join the chat, it's very easy. All you do is, like I said, you have to just hit the sub button to join the chat. We appreciate everybody that does that. And as we always say, we will see you next time. And wear those pinstripes of pride and play hard.